When I made this little film, I was thinking from the very beginning that it was called something like Crossing Over. And my plan was to film myself, my feet, myself, crossing this stream. It doesn't, but it really is. It's more of a stream than it looks like. At the time, I was a little bit afraid that I was going to fall in. It seemed possible. And I think from the very beginning, I thought of it as a metaphor for death, crossing over. Whether that's because my mother died in March, and it's now July, and I was making this film in June, or not, I don't know. Really, I don't think it has just to do with that, because I've thought about death a lot for a long time, the meaning of life and all that kind of bullshit. And I guess I thought this was like a sort of a metaphor for that, for death, for life, for crossing over. Even though I realized pretty quickly that I was going to be crossing over and back, which is what I call this little film, Crossing Over and Back. And at the same time, you have to realize, as far as most of us know, when it comes to death, you don't cross over and come back. You cross over, if you want to call it that, and you're gone. Like my mother's gone, rotting in the ground somewhere now. Well, no, I know where she's rotting, in Defuniak Springs, Florida, inside the Indian blanket that my sister and my niece paid a couple $100 for, with the arrow on it. Symbol of what, I don't know, but I thought it was pretty appropriate for the sort of barbs that my mother used to put into people. So I'm jumping here from stone to stone, crossing over, and thinking about poetry to add to this thing, and various levels of meaning and all that kind of stuff. And I put that Tennyson poem at the beginning, Crossing the Bar, which has always been a poem I liked the first two lines of, but when I looked at the whole thing, I think the poem sucks. All this stuff about, hope I see my pilot when I have crossed the bar. There's no pilot, as we all, if we have any sense. And I was just emptying the garbage now, thinking about, other things to put with this, other little written things. And I thought that there's that stupid poem called Footsteps or something. I'll look it up on the internet now. Another Footsteps poem. And I guess I'll try to find other journey, life journey, death journey poems and stuff like that to add to this at some levels or other. The day I made this film was really beautiful. I was waiting for Anne Marie, who was getting something done to her teeth. I spent a lot of time waiting for Anne Marie. I'll wait for Anne Marie like everyone else waited for Godot. Maybe it's the same thing. And so I walked out this road. I found this little stream eventually. But before that, I helped myself to a few cherries that were falling down from a cherry tree, and just generally had a really, really nice walk. I have to say, I had a really, really nice walk. And ultimately, that may be what matters. The other thing I've been thinking about saying, another idea, is that it has to do with time, which is that time is always passing, but it's also always now. It's always now, which gives the idea that time isn't passing, but time is always passing. And that, I would have to say, is probably the best thing about that day, was that even though I was waiting for Anne Marie and making this film and walking back and forth and thinking about art and all that sort of stuff, it was also just a really, really nice day. And from what I can see here, the pictures are pretty nice. I like the glistening water and the rocks and the footsteps, going here and there. And there's going to be this little conclusion coming up here where you get the shadow of me walking away, which, could be, if you're going to carry out the metaphor of this whole thing, this whole metaphor of crossing over and coming back, and the sort of continuity of going on. I mean, the shadow could be the soul, I suppose. You could read it all kinds of ways. I don't think I read it any of those ways. even though I would like to. So you can read it however you want to read it, if anybody ever sees it. And if I see it myself, I can think about it myself many, many years from now. After I've passed over, crossed over, moved on to the next thing, whatever.